anniversary edition. Said I quit my job. Anyway, I'm here.
Yes. Back to your quit job. Ray, what's up, man? How you
People
feeling?
have done special editions and converted it to permanent stay. You may never know.
Oh no, my boss will not allow me to stay.
Okay.
All right. Well, listen. Let's get into it. I think a couple of things we want to talk about today, but we'll start with the Drive Safe campaign.
Yes, brought to us by Joy News and the Multimedia Group and supported by Toyota Ghana Company Limited. Toyota superior quality and Imperial General Assurance, solid protection. Avoid all distractions, keep both eyes on the road and hands on the steering wheel. Be visible, drive with your lights on, and that's how to drive safe.
Let's learn how to say it right. It's brought to you by Kingdom Books. At Kingdom, quality and affordability are their hallmarks. Met with chiefs and MMDCEs yesterday to talk about Galamsey. It must take a good dose of agathism to believe that our leaders can stop this deadly menace with talk. By the way, that's our new word for today, agathism. A-G-A-T-H-I-S-M. It refers to the theory that the final outcome of everything is good, even if the means of arriving at it is evil. It's a theory of extreme optimism that even when bad things happen, they ultimately lead to a good result. Agathism comes from the Greek word agathos, which means good. Now, let's use it in a sentence. The view that continuing to vote for incompetent leaders will somehow lead to the development of Ghana is nothing short of complete agathism. There you go. Oh, and the view that listening to Say It Right will improve your vocabulary is nothing short of an absolute guarantee. So keep listening. There we go. Yes, keep listening wherever you are. Definitely join us on Facebook Live. It's always good to be watched on radio. So listen, just go to Joy 99.7 FM on Facebook Live and go and check out the wonderful African wear that Raymond and Winston are sporting today. It's like they had a conversation at home this morning. Yeah, we're also on YouTube on our channel, which is Joy 99.7 FM. If you're listening to us in any of these regions, we love you very much. Keep listening. In the Eastern region, thank you for tuning into KTU Radio in Koforidia. In the Bono East region, Gaskia FM in Techiman, Sky FM in Sunyani for the Bono region, and in the Central region in Cape Coast, ATL FM is piping the news review on the Super Morning Show. Very, very hot this morning. Thanks for tuning in. All right. The news review is coming up in a minute, brought to us by Enterprise Life's Family Income Security Plan, Enterprise Your Advantage, and Access Bank. More than banking. Now, I know you guys have been paying attention to the headlines, and sadly, the World Bank has classified Ghana as a high debt distressed country. Debt to GDP is projected to hit 104%. Moody's has downgraded us further into junk status. These things, some would suggest, are simply processes as part of our return to the IMF. But there is a certain level of depression that comes with knowing these facts, including the fact that our CD now, our CD now, you need 10.75 of them to get $1.
I say I avoid the currency market on the business news. Then I came and I saw it on the screen. I said, wow, 10.75. I mean, it brings it home to a very terrible state that we find ourselves currently. This projection that they are talking about, and I was trying to check one of my most reliable sources for debt to GDP. And that is the Bank of Ghana's summary of economic data. And I realized that since, is it me who saw, the last one I saw was for July. It was July's release, which was for June, really. And that particular release indicated that the debt to GDP was somewhere around 78%. But if you think about it nicely, with 393 or so billion being the amount of money that we currently owe, if you think about it nicely, from that 393 to the 104, in maybe if they add the rest of the months to it, but Bank of Ghana too should update it consistently. It's a very trusted source, So those of us who cannot get government fiscal data just like that, we rely on you for it. If you look at it that way, it's very possible that we may get into a very high number. I'm just not sure about the 104. But people are saying that if you add all the other below the line that we've been doing, perhaps we are already in that particular scale with our calculations anyway. Yeah.
No, and that's exactly what it's been done now. A lot of the below the line minus this one. So, we've done a lot of
separated phase because there were extraordinary events.
Exactly. So we've raised bonds with ESLA, we've raised bonds with Get Fund.
Yeah.
And all these bonds, and as you can see in the summary of financial and economic data from the Bank of Ghana, they sometimes indicate the total debt does not include ESLA bonds.
Yeah.
And so if you add all of these, that's where you're close to getting. And that's why the World Bank is now telling you that this is where you are.
Where you truly are.
Where you truly are. So what we have done in the past is to say, these are debts that are going to be paid through these special instruments. And so we haven't added it to our public debts. The World Bank says we're going to add them to your public debts. Or the World Bank is now telling you that, on the face of it, your real situation is this. And that you may end the year at 104%. Debt to GDP of 104%. And I know the argument is that, in other jurisdictions, they have more than 100%.
The UK, they had 104 too.
Yeah, but you would look at their tax to debt ratio, okay, and determine whether they're able to pay. That's where the problem starts from. But for me, look, where we have reached now, it is obvious that we cannot run away from a debt restructuring. One of the things I did, we'll come back and talk about all of these. One of the things I did was just to go to the IMF's website. They have a Q&A about Ghana. Okay, so I'm going to read this question. That says, does Ghana need debt restructuring? When will a new debt sustainability assessment be published? It says, when a member country requests financing from the IMF, the fund assesses whether the country's policies are consistent with debt sustainability. This assessment is based on a debt sustainability assessment conducted jointly by the IMF and the World Bank. Underline the World Bank. They've given you a signal of where you are. Okay. And to determine whether the government is able to meet all its current and future payment obligations. The DS, that's the Debt Sustainability Assessment, is forward-looking and considers steps being taken by the member to ensure sustainability over the medium term. In cases where a country's debt is assessed as unsustainable, the IMF is precluded from providing financing unless the member takes steps to restore debt sustainability. You get that point? Let me just continue. And it says, including by seeking a debt restructuring from its creditors. The IMF and the World Bank still need to conduct a thorough update of the debt situation through a new debt sustainability assessment, which will then be presented to our executive board when it considers the authority's program request. If we're deemed to be debt unsustainable, the IMF cannot finance us unless we present another report,
which you don't have to review first. Then submit to their bosses before they finally agree. I'm looking at the timelines we've been giving ourselves.
That's the problem.
By November, which is when we're reading our next budget, we will want a program inculcated and added to this. But it doesn't appear to me that if we cannot straighten out these areas, clearly we may have difficulties telling the people of this republic exactly what program we want to have with the IMF.
Yeah, and so the IMF concluded its meetings, 2 week meeting this week. They met with the Finance Committee in Parliament. Now, according to what I have heard from some members of the Finance Committee, in fact, I heard Kesela Tuforson yesterday say they had not concluded the debt sustainability assessment. If that has not been concluded, then it may be very difficult for us to include the IMF plans and programs in our 2023 budget that's to be presented in November 2022. Mind you, what we are faced with is such that we definitely need the IMF to give some confidence in the Ghanaian economy. Mind you, the rating agencies have degraded us further when it comes to the high debt. High debt
Downgraded us further.
Downgraded us further. Clearly, what they're telling us is that the country Ghana is at high risk of defaulting its debts, where the World Bank says we've reached, and the need for debt restructuring as per what the IMF is telling us. It's going to be very difficult for us.
All right. Meanwhile, the finance minister is optimistic. He believes that we are in line for a miracle. He points to the Celtic miracle that happened back in the 90s. I think between 1995 and say 2006, 2007, the Irish economy grew in leaps and bounds. There was so much foreign direct investment. People decided to move massive companies to Ireland. Intel, one of the tech companies that decided to set up in Ireland. It just completely transformed their economy. They were growing at a rate of about between 7.8 and 11.5% from 95 to 2000. Okay, and then they started growing between 4.4 and 6.5% from then until 2007. In 2008, the economy crashed due to the property bubble. But the finance minister believes that we are in line for a similar, exponential growth. He believes that in 3 years' time we'll be back on the bonds market, and then the economy will somehow recover at a rapid pace.
Some think it will take 7 years. Others are even saying we should project up to 5 and beyond. But maybe it's a very optimistic view from the finance minister. But he's the guy managing the economy. He cannot come up and be telling us that, please, all is not well. We should pack our bags and go home. I'm going to my hometown too, and I'll not do anything about it.
But he doesn't actually have to say any of these things.
My point is that
Bank of Ghana is not telling us our debt to GDP ratio.
If you ask me deep within my heart, I actually think, as many people have said, the finance minister does not add a lot more credibility to the very things that's happening in this space. And we've known what he has said over the period, even about going to the IMF, about the economy and the things that not long ago. And again, sometimes you just ask yourself whether all of these stories were told, including the fact that if you put himself and his friends together, they have some huge experience that's more than virtually everybody in civil society in a particular volume can actually match up in any space. So really, you all need to shut up and let them run the economy. But when the reality is on the ground, as for the God-willing statements, we all believe in God. But there's also reality that will catch up with us along the line.
The reality is that in the management of an economy, you do not derive confidence through belief in God. Ask all the economists. They wouldn't tell you that when you appear before investors and you tell investors that you are expecting a miracle.
That a miracle is going to make things work out.
Now, one of the other things we should be looking at.
Who invests in miracles?
Of course. So one of the challenges we're faced with also
know.
in this country is that we're told, and according to the World Bank, a weakening Ghana cedi is part of our problem. They actually blame the central bank for not acting proactively. It was very reactive in acting to save the rate of inflation and a depreciating Ghana cedi. Now, mind you, we're expecting, all things being equal, oil production cuts. If there are cuts in the production of crude oil, automatically it would lead to an increase in demand, which could also result in an increase in the prices of crude oil on the world market, all things being equal. The demand for dollars for the purchasing of this would also go up. If we are unable to meet those demands, it would also affect are already weakened Ghana cedi. An increased petroleum price could also trigger an increase in inflation. Now,
The only spotlight which appears bright on the horizon is that I just heard Cocoa Board agreeing on some 1.13 billion. Hopefully, we get the money quickly. Then it will be, one of those times where you just had a drop in the ocean. It brightens the ocean, very nice light. For how long, I do not know, but I doubt if it will last a month. It's the
Let's
same
not
thing that we
forget-
had for the 750, which lasted less than a week or two,
Let's
and
not
did not
forget
push it back down from the 10
that
to
1.13 billion that
Yes.
we've received. Let's not forget that we are going to be paying cocoa farmers about 21% more for their cocoa. So are we going to actually have less to sell?
what we'll do is that, once it hits our account, it comes in dollars, and so we have much needed dollars that we
So we pump it into the
desperately
system,
need in
yeah.
this country. We're going to pay the cocoa farmers in cedis. And so one of the things we've done artificially holding the Ghana cedi or saving the Ghana cedi in the past was the Eurobonds. And you've seen some government officials or some leading MPP party members acknowledging that this year didn't have the normal or the usual 2 billion Eurobond or
That
3 billion
commences the
Eurobond,
year, yeah.
to actually artificially at the time, improve the Ghana cedi's performance.
I am even thinking about the fact that, yes, so that will have a short-term effect
Yeah.
on the value of our city. I'm thinking of what happens next when it's
When-
time for us to export our cocoa. How much of it will we get?
That's another challenge because the cocoa board is actually
Now we
actually
are
admitted.
looking at 1 month too. In fact, now we are looking at for what happens from now to December.
Yes.
Because if we do not take care, I will not be shocked if the dollar gets to 12 cedi.
It may get to
The
12
way it's
cedis.
going, I'm even worried about the
APSA
extent.
has predicted 12 cities by the end of the year.
Well, let's get into the papers briefly.
Yes, so can I just go to the Daily Graphic? It's reporting this morning. One of the issues that we kept our eye on yesterday and the day before is NADMO, is the wager flood victims said the very things happening there. We understand NADMO is helping them with some boats, with rescuers and other people getting on board nicely. Now, there is a giving up on Galamsey fights not an option. The president of the Republic of Ghana is the one saying so, and he said a lot more at this particular event yesterday. Parliament has failed to check the executive, this minority leader and deputy AG speaking on this topic. Those are the major ones that the graphic is telling everybody that they are going to serialize constituencies 275, starting from English Yamalfro, and that's also interesting there. 2022 World Cup driving Qatar sports dreams, and you see the stadium. It looks like a nightclub. Very nice nightclub.
Anyway, let me get to the Daily Guide. Ghana's debt to GDP to hit 104.6%. More wahala for wager residents. Akufo-Addo summons Galamsey DCE, and cocoa price now 800 Ghana cedis per bag, less than the 858 Ghana cedis that La Côte d'Ivoire pays. What does that mean? We'll come back to it. Public universities staff threaten strike, they say, 13th of October. Okay. Ronaldo is angry when not playing.
Now, the Daily Statesman is reporting this morning that Bamia lost teachers' role in education reforms. Maslock trains staff on digitalization rollout. Then LPG consumption rises to 6.9%. That's also on the front page of the Daily Guide with no politics in Galamsey fight. This is a caution from the President of the Republic of Ghana.
Final paper as the Ghanaian Times fight against illegal mining. We won't protect anyone involved in Galamsey. President warns MMDCEs, and Stella Jima-Labi adjudged National Best Teacher 2022. Government increases cocoa producer price by 21%. Minority urges government to consider alternative view on economic situation.
All right, so that was the news review brought to us by Enterprise Life's Family Income Security Plan, Enterprise Your Advantage, and Access Bank, more than banking. For the online review, we're grateful to Goyle Good Energy, Big O Drink, and Zenith Bank, in your best interest.
And Goyle, your oil marketing company of choice, keeps making life so convenient for you. Goyle now accepts Momo for all fuel purchase at selected stations. Just remember to Momo it at Goyle, and that's not all. You can also use your bank card to buy fuel at Goyle, and this is made possible by APSA. Drive to Goyle stations now, buy your fuel, pay by Momo or bank card, and you're good to go. Goyle Good Energy, Goyle, yeah, dear.
Okay, let's go online. Residents of Ashalaja sleep in kiosks as their homes remain flooded. This is turning into a humanitarian crisis, in the southern part of Accra. Let's see what else is going on. Black Sheriff releases The Villain I Never Was. That came out last night, midnight. And I spent a little bit of time listening to it in the car on my way to work. Some amazing music, very unique music. Decentralized fight against illegal mining. Small Scale Miners Association are the ones saying this. On CNN this morning, 1 man killed, 2 journalists injured during Israeli military raid in the West Bank. I think it's time now for the BBC